Hey guys, I just wanted to talk to you about a training that I went to last Saturday. So I'm going to make a couple of videos just to kind of convey to you what I learned, because when I learn something, I love to turn around and share it. I can't keep it all inside. It's really exciting for me. And I love it when things are broken down really simply for me, and then it helps me to know how to break it down for other people. So I would encourage you to go to any training you can, especially Young Living trainings. There are so many great trainers out there. Coming up in next week, I get to see the same person again that I saw on Saturday, along with some other people in Kansas City, Dr. Jim Bob Hagerton. So the information that I'm going to be telling you about today is directly from his lecture. This is not my own material. I am summarizing some of my notes, and I want you to know that. I'm not trying to steal anything from him, any content, but I would recommend that you watch him on Periscope. He periscopes every day at noon. And he is a wealth of information. He's a chiropractor. His wife is a midwife. They use essential oils in their practice and supplements, and not just Young Living. So I really trust what he has to say. He always has great information to share. What I'm going to share with you today is about diseases, symptoms, and what those things mean. I'm not going to talk about oils. I'm not going to give you any kind of information about what oils to use for this or that. This is basic health information that I think is so important for us to understand, because it's kind of a relearning for many of us because of the world that we live in and how we've been raised. So I'll just start off by telling you what he said about those things. So disease. All disease is either caused by toxicity or deficiency. So toxicity is getting things into your body that you don't need. You don't want those things in your body, like sugar, artificial sweetener, GMOs, chemicals, any kind of processed foods, all those things, cigarette smoke, drugs, too much alcohol, all those things can create a very toxic environment in your body. Then the other end of the spectrum is deficiency. That is when you don't get enough of what you do need into your body. And the American diet is very depleted of nutrients, just because it's really hard for us to get good organic foods, fruits and vegetables, meats, things like that. We need to work hard to do that. We need to make it a priority. I know it's expensive, but it's going to be a whole lot more expensive towards the end of your life when you're trying to take care of yourself because you made poor choices at a younger age. And I made poor choices for a really long time, and I mean, I still do every once in a while. But we need to know we've got to fuel our bodies. So that's vitamins, minerals, water. He said one of the biggest things he says to his clients whenever they come in is drink water. Breathe and drink water. We don't breathe enough. We hold our breath because we're stressed out, and we don't drink enough water. And sometimes our physical symptoms can be eliminated just by relaxing, breathing, deep belly breath, and drinking enough water. So, and whole foods, of course, like any kind of good nutrition you can get into your body, that's the very best thing. Oils and supplements and all that stuff, those are great to help with deficiencies, but the main source needs to be your food. So I said disease, all disease is caused by toxicity or deficiency. Well, stress is the cause of all symptoms. So it's either physical stress from an injury or a lack of movement. So any of you know that, we have a truck driver on our team who I love. She's a friend of mine, and she has a lot of physical symptoms because of her lack of movement, being in the truck all the time. And then the other is, injury, a sports injury or just a regular injury, a fall, things like that. Physical stress, chemical stress, that goes back to the toxicity or deficiency. And then emotional stress is huge. Fear, shame, guilt, or a lack of support. Those things can really cause problems. They cause the symptoms that appear for us. So, speaking about symptoms, this was huge for me because growing up, symptoms meant immediate trip to the doctor. As a brand new mom, any symptom in my child meant a trip to the doctor, and if it was after hours, a trip to urgent care or an emergency room. I had so much faith in the medical community and so little faith in my own intuition as a young mom that I relied heavily on doctors. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, almost every single time, I took my child to the emergency room for a fever because I was deathly afraid of a fever. There was nothing wrong with my child. I've come to know, after having so many children, I've noticed when my kids get fevers and when they don't. Every one of my kids gets a fever whenever they're teething. My son gets a fever whenever he has growing pains, when he's going through a growth spurt. And he's not sick. His glands will get swollen. His body fights off things differently. Different kids' immune systems work differently. I've learned recently so much about fevers and how fevers are our body's way of killing bacteria. The temperature in our body raises to a level where bacteria can't survive. So having a fever is a good thing because it helps your body to eradicate whatever is going on in there. If we give ourselves Tylenol, or we try to always get that fever down really, really low, or just to no fever at all, like say it's only 101 and we're determined to get it down low, what are we doing? We are preventing our own body from getting rid of that bacteria. And I wish someone would have told me that as a brand new mom. I wish someone would have told me that. So symptoms are not emergencies. That's my whole point. A fever is just one symptom. There are all kinds of different symptoms. But as a young mom and as a young adult outside of the home, every time I had the smallest symptom of anything, I was going to die. Like, you look it up, you're dying. Whatever it is, you're going to die. What he says to think of them as symptoms are check engine lights. So it would be like if your check engine light comes on in your car, it would be like you just are like, I've got to get rid of the car right now. Like the check engine light came on, something is seriously wrong. It's a lemon, it's a dud. I've got to either get rid of it, or I might as well just go and park it and never drive it again. Or you take it in and you say, the check engine light's on, replace the engine. Just replace it. Like there's something wrong. So just replace everything in the car. Well, maybe it's an electrical circuit that's out. Maybe it's something really small. Like he gave the example of the fact that one of his cars, the check engine light has been on since the very beginning, and it's a really minor issue that doesn't affect the car mechanically or anything else. And so he's okay with it being on. He's had it checked out more than once, and it's okay. It's one of those symptoms that it's okay. It doesn't have to be solved. So symptoms are your check engine light. And when you have your check engine light come on, when you have a symptom, say any kind of symptom, since I'm not talking about oils or anything, then I'll throw out symptoms. Say you have a headache. What's going on? I have a headache. Am I going to automatically assume that it's a migraine and I need to treat it? Am I going to automatically assume that I have a brain tumor? Or am I going to think, okay, trace this headache back to, let's think about what did I eat today? What did I drink today? Did I drink enough water? Maybe I'm dehydrated. There are a lot of different things that can explain that symptom of the headache. Same thing with indigestion or any kind of stomach issue. Like you have a symptom come up. Okay, I have E. coli, food poisoning. Like I have an ulcer. I could jump to like the farthest extreme and race into my doctor, or I could trace back the last 24 hours and figure out what I ate. If it's something that didn't agree with me, I could, there are a million different things I could do. I could wait. That's one of the main things that he talked about, waiting and see if it passes. Waiting a few hours, waiting 24 hours, waiting 48 hours. Usually things will pass. What we do though, as Americans, is as soon as we feel something, we have got to take care of it right then, and we cancel everything, we go to the doctor, we get put on some kind of medication, and it clears up, but who knows how many times it would have cleared up anyway if we just would have waited. Now, I'm not talking about emergency situations here. I'm talking about regular symptoms, and I think that you guys understand that. And so he even goes on to say that meds, supplements, and oils can be used, but they're not the only fix. They're kind of like duct tape. I mean, he said like any of those things, anything you do to treat a symptom is like duct tape. It's not getting to the underlying cause, unless you want to seek out the system that it's related to. So trace your symptom to the system. I hope I'm using the right words. Trace your symptom back to the system. So my stomach's really upset. That's my digestive system. What did I eat? What do I need to eat? What could I eat that could make me feel better? I mean, a lot of times if you have really bad diarrhea or you are vomiting, eating some oatmeal can really calm that down, because it just needs something, that your gastric juices and stuff just need something to hold on to in there, and it just calms it down. And then sometimes if things aren't moving, if you eat a big salad, some applesauce, or drink some juice, clears things right out. So look at the symptom, or not the symptom, I'm saying it backwards. Look at the system. Take the symptom, trace it to the system, and then figure out, how can I support that system? Try to think foods first. Try to think food, water, breathing, rest, and then think, what else do I need to do in order to help me get through this at the moment, okay? So then the other thing he said about diseases is that we all want to name something. We want to have a name for every disease, right? We're so used to that we allow it to define ourselves. So he says diseases are a group of symptoms. They're just a group of symptoms that are named to code for either insurance or treatment. So they take a group of symptoms, they put them together, and they give them a name so that they can have a treatment protocol and so that they can have an insurance code. They are not meant to define you, and almost every disease can be cured. I don't know how many times people say, I have XYZ, this is just going to be my life, the rest of my life, I'm going to be fighting this. That's what they're told, that's what they believe. That's absolutely not true. I had an autoimmune disease, and all of my tests proved it. And recently, not too long ago, I had a whole entire blood work panel done, and I have no autoimmune markers. I have no, I have nothing that would indicate that I have an autoimmune disorder. I believed that I had this disease and that I would have it forever, but I truly believe that I'm in remission. And I believe that my body has resolved itself. God has created our bodies so perfectly to take care of themselves and to support themselves and to heal themselves. And so we have to believe that we can heal. We can heal. And the three main things that he says to do to heal, to live a life of wellness, way above the wellness line, regardless of supplements or anything else: breathe, move, and eat well. So he talked a lot about breathing. He said sometimes whenever he walks into an office, if people are just really stressed out and going 90 miles an hour and telling him what's going on, he'll say, you know what, I want you to breathe for a couple minutes. I'm going to leave. While I'm gone, I want you to just really focus on breathing, taking deep breaths, and then I'll be back. And he said almost always when he comes back, they're so much more calm, they're able to talk about what's going on, and they actually physically feel better. So breathing, he was like, we just don't take time to breathe anymore. And then moving, we know that. We got to exercise, people. We got to move so many hours a day, so many minutes a day at least. And we have to eat well. That includes drinking water. So sometimes we overcomplicate everything. We don't want to do these three things, but we'd rather buy a bunch of supplements, oils, medications, over-the-counter drugs to help us to feel better in lieu of doing these things. If we would do all of these things, then we would still use those things as needed, but we wouldn't need them as much. We need to slow down, basically. So I'm going to continue making some more videos, and it may be your cup of tea, it may not, but I just always love to share what I learn. So I hope that you've learned something today, and I hope that you'll share with us when you learn. If you go to a training and you learn stuff, we want to know, because we all can't be there. We all live in different parts of the world. So let's train one another. Thanks, guys.